LAFC have beaten Inter Miami 3-0 in the MLS season opener, and what most of us probably didn't expect the defending champs to showcase in their first game of the new season. But man, LAFC completely dominated this game, and we're going to break down what we saw in the first and second half by both of these teams. But before we get into that, make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We just hit 12,000 subscribers. And I'm very thankful for you guys and all the support you've shown us. So thank you so much for letting us hit 12,000 subscribers. And also make sure you subscribe if you haven't already and hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of our videos. So let's talk about this highly anticipated match that many of us have been looking forward to for several weeks now. And these were two teams that a lot of people thought could have been the two teams in the MLS Cup final last year, but it didn't really go according to plan or didn't go that way. So we get to see these two teams go against each other. Let's talk about the first half. Now, in the first half, I thought it was very, very even between both of these teams. These were about as ideal starting 11s as you could want for both sides, minus one or two players. But the first half, Inter Miami dominated possession. It was like 60-40, but it really didn't feel like that. It really felt like LAFC were right there with them, and they were making a lot more of their chances in the first half. In the first half, Inter Miami had 3 shots, 1 on target. LAFC had 10 shots in the first half, 3 on target. So, you know, a lot of people say this, and it's true that, you know, possession doesn't really tell the entire story of the game. But in the first half, let's talk about LAFC. LAFC came out, and I thought they looked very, very confident, right? They're playing the defending champions at the Coliseum, 70,000 people in attendance for this game. It felt like a big deal. It felt like a European experience, right? It felt like, man, this is a nice start to kind of get us ready for the World Cup in 2026. Like it's a precursor for what we can expect this summer. But when we talk about players, I thought LAFC in the first half, everybody looked very solid. I thought the back line was solid. I thought that the midfield was okay. The midfield is probably the one thing that I would say that wasn't too solid. Like Estacio had a great game earlier this week against Real España. This game, he was a little bit more unnoticeable. I didn't really recognize him much this game. He didn't really make any special plays. He really didn't have any great touches on the ball or have any chances he created like he did in the last game. Delgado, very mediocre like we've seen. Tillman was okay, but overall, not bad. Solid play. Inter Miami looked pretty good themselves. They looked a little nervous. Like in the final third, they really couldn't create any chances. You know, we talked about them only having, I think, 1 shot in the first half. They were good at the build-up play, but at the end, they just couldn't do anything in the final third. They were really missing, I think, Tadio Yende in the starting 11, and I think they were missing David Ayala, and I think that they were missing Silvetti playing on the left side instead of the right side. But the back line, you know, Ian Frey, very suspect. I don't think Ian Frey is any good. And we'll talk about that in the second half because Facundo Mora came in, but I don't think Ian Frey is good. I think he's going to attack. I think his defense is very subpar. Noah Allen, I don't think was good at left back. I don't think he did much in the first half or in the entire game for Inter Miami. I think he really stalls the attack for them. But both of these teams, guys, very evenly matched, I think, in the first half. But LAFC had scored first when they had Son Heung-min with a beautiful pass, puts it on a platter for David Martinez to score the 38th minute. Beautiful shot with the left foot. Beautiful vision by Son Heung-min to find David Martinez. And David Martinez, I said, was going to be an X factor in this game. The 20-year-old Venezuelan has played much better to start his 2026 season, and they get them on the board first. They're up 1-0. And then you kind of think, okay, is Inter Miami going to respond? Inter Miami is a team that when they score, they don't just ever score 1 goal. They score 2, they score 3, they score 4, they score 5. Are Inter Miami going to be able to respond to them? Because it ends in the first half 1-0, LAFC up. So the second half comes out. Inter Miami makes 1 substitution. They get Facundo Mora in there. They take Ian Frey out. Now, Facundo Mora came in there and automatically made a difference. You saw him in the attack. He was pressing forward. He was making plays in the defense. He had 1 play on Denny Wong that probably saved a goal. He was playing much better in the second half than Ian Frey. Ian Frey does not need to be starting on this team. Facundo Mora is much better. So they had way more opportunities in the final third, and they just looked like they were punching. They were speed punching LAFC. LAFC were playing way too conservative in the beginning of the second half, and Inter Miami had all these chances. I mean, my God, the possession at the first 20 minutes, the first half was like, or second half, excuse me, was 80-20 Inter Miami. 80-20. And Inter Miami had 9 shots and 2 shots on target in the second half to LAFC's 5 and 3, 5 shots and 3 on target. But they were pressing. You're like, okay, Inter Miami is definitely going to pull one back. They are definitely going to pull one back in the second half. And this game is going to be interesting. But LAFC were able to neutralize them and prevent them from doing that for the 20 minutes. And at that point, Inter Miami was gassed. They were gassed. I was disappointed with a couple of players with Inter Miami. I thought DePaul was one guy that I noticed a lot. Silvetti left a lot to be desired. Messi, I didn't know what I was going to see from him tonight because he just came back from injury, guys. But it feels like this is kind of a repeat of last year where Inter Miami is way too reliant on Messi and the people around him are not stepping up. They're not stepping up. Now, Berterame had a couple chances. He had one like karate kick where he almost made it, but it was cleared off Porches' head. And then he also had a header that he was very close to scoring. But I mean, the surrounding talent was just not good. And Falcone got exposed several times by Denis Bouanga and Son Heung-min. Maxi Falcone is a snail. I think someone said that the Spanish word for snail is caracola, and that is him. That is Maxi Falcone. He is the snail, and Luis Suarez is the turtle, the tortoise, La Tortuga. We know this. They just don't have speed in the back line. And he got exposed a couple times with that. But let's talk about what happened after that. Bouanga scored a beautiful goal in the 73rd minute when he went over Dane St. Clair. And let me say this. Dane St. Clair was the worst player on the pitch tonight for Inter Miami and maybe in the entire game. He was playing way too aggressive out of goal, coming up way too far, and he got burned. And he could have got burned a couple more times, but he got burned on that 73rd minute goal by Bouanga when he went over him. It was Facundo Mora and Dane St. Clair. He went over Dane St. Clair and scored with ease. It's because Dane St. Clair was way too far out, and he got exposed, and he gave up the second goal, which was the dagger, in my opinion, for LAFC over Inter Miami. So Dane St. Clair, horrible game. Horrible game. He's going to have to step it up if they want to have any chance of not just repeating an MLS Cup, but if they want to have any chance of winning the CONCACAF Champions Cup, Dane St. Clair is going to have to play better. But they go up 2-0. At that point, I feel like all the wind had been taken out of Inter Miami sails. Now, they did bring in Tadio Allende in the 69th minute, which I think was too late, but maybe it's because he was still getting his legs under him because he didn't play any of the preseason games because they were trying to work out his visa. Tadio Allende comes on the 69th minute, didn't really do too much, but they really are counting on him. We'll see what they do in their next game. La Tortuga came in the 81st minute, didn't really do anything. This team is missing some key pieces. They're going to have to get this lineup sorted, and they're going to have to start playing better and give Messi some help, because if they don't, it's going to be a repeat of last year where he was just counted on to do everything. And he looked pretty good, like I said, coming off injury. He did not look like he was not himself. I want to know who you guys think is the player of the match in this game, but I have to give it probably to Denis Bouanga just because he had the assist in the goal. I think that he was pretty good in this match. There was a couple of chances he had where he could have scored. There was one chance that Son Heung-min went around the keeper, passed it to Denis Bouanga, and he could have easily laid it in and had a brace, but he just whiffed it. And it's just, Denis Bouanga is a frustrating player because all of us see the talent he has, the pace, the skill on the ball, the scoring ability, but it's the little things. It's the passing. It's the crosses. It's the decision-making. It's just not there. But, you know, to be fair, if he had all of it, if he had the whole package, he'd be probably playing in the Premier League or La Liga for one of the top teams in the world. So obviously he's going to have some deficiencies, but it's frustrating when you see something like that and it doesn't go according to plan, or it's not executed in the proper way. I think Hugo Lloris really wasn't tested much tonight. LAFC just absolutely embarrassed Inter Miami. That's the way I look at it. I mean, it's 3-0. They scored again. Nathan Ordaz came in, scored in the added time. Inter Miami just were not ready to play this game. They look unprepared. They had spurts of good play, but it was never consistent. And they're going to have to fix this. But LAFC was clearly the better team tonight. They were clearly the better team. It wasn't even close. 3-0 win over the defending champions in the opening day. Now, it's early. There's 33 games left for both these teams to play, but LAFC, I got to give them props too. Dolo Ball's dead. Dolo Ball is over with. It's not happening anymore. Mark Dos Santos is playing a much better style of ball that's more similar to what Bob Bradley did from 2018 to 2021. And I was a little nervous at first. If you watch this LAFC team, they came out in the second half with playing more conservative, but they fixed it and they started to play more attacking ball towards the end, and they were able to score. And it's just crazy to think that when I look at the stats, they lost possession 68-32, but they had 15 shots, 6 on target to Miami's 12 shots, 3 on target. And they had 400 less passes than Miami, but they had an expected goal rate of 3.26 to Miami's 0.83. LAFC were the better team, and they look scary heading into the MLS season. Very scary. Inter Miami wouldn't hit the panic button yet. Still have some things to work out, but we will see what happens. I want to know what you guys think. Who was your player of the game? What were you most excited about in this match? Let me know in the comment section down below. Which of these teams do you think are more likely to win MLS Cup? Very curious to see what you guys think. But I hope you guys enjoyed this MLS opening day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of our videos. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.